So, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast and YouTube channel. Today, I have Amanda Wiebe from Canada. What part of Canada are you from?
From British Columbia,
Oh,
in Kelowna.
nice. And so, Amanda is a part of the Pro Organizers coaching community, and she has actually come up with her own 3-step acronym to remembering what it's like, or to show her how to organize and to help her remember, because it's important for us to come up with our own steps in the way that we work with clients and, what it is that we do. And I tell my clients this all the time. Every organizer is different. And so every organizer is going to come up with their own system. And today we just wanted to share with you the system that she created, because hopefully it can help you in your business. And so first, Amanda, why don't you tell us a little bit about like the name of your business and then kind of how you got started as an organizer, and then we will go from there.
So my business name is Ebb and Flow Organizing. And when I was younger, all I wanted to do was surf, but I have never been around the ocean, so I've only done it a couple times. So I've always liked that kind of ebb and flow kind of lifestyle in a sense. And I thought with organizing, it's really neat because with ebb and flow, it's you try it and then you might have to change something, and you try it again, you might have to change something. So it's not you try it and it works and that's it. Like usually you'll have to tweak and go along. And that's kind of how I want to get started, because I'm a teacher by trade. So I'm an elementary school teacher. And I thought it would be really neat, because I love organizing, how cool it would be to go into other people's homes and to help them in their process of organizing. So that's kind of how I got started. It was this year, and a friend of mine was like, yeah, you should just do it. And I was like, do what? And they're like, well, just start your business. And so I kind of just did it. And it was weird, because if you actually want to do something, you can actually do it. It's just stepping forward and doing it.
Yes.
So it seems very crazy and very strange, but like if you want something enough, you will just make it work.
Absolutely.
So it's just but yeah.
Well, and you're a
good.
full-time teacher. You've got 2 little ones, right?
2 little ones, 2 little girls.
Yep. So your mom, wife, full-time employee and teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you have still been able to create a business and, get yourself started along the way. And I think that's so important for people to remember, is that a lot of times I think people either want to get the business side perfect before they jump, which can have some downfalls too, because sometimes it takes time. Like, it's not like whenever you announce to the world, oh, I'm an organizer, that you have a line of people ready to become clients. Like, sometimes it takes time of planting seeds. And then on the other side of that is, it's nice to go ahead and start it as a side hustle, because you may start and you may not even like it, because organizing for yourself and then organizing for other people are 2 totally different things. And so I love that you've decided to start it as a side hustle. And I just want to give you props for doing all the things, and like mom, teacher, starting a business, like it can be done. And I'm so proud of you.
Mm-hmm. It can. It's a lot, but it definitely can be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, and I love the name Ebb and Flow. Like, that is such a good name, because it's so true. Exactly what you said. Everything is true, where you have to be willing to go with the flow and figure it out. And because no 2 clients are ever going to be the same. And even with your own children, or even with your own home, if you're organizing, or anything we do in life, really, like, it's never the same exact thing. But this whole 3-step process. So tell me a little bit about what made you want to come up with your own acronym for a 3-step process.
Definitely. So I was, you had mentioned it before when we were chatting, the Mums Organization Motivation podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually decided to, on the road trip, to listen to this podcast. And she had her own 3. And I can't actually tell you them because I couldn't remember them. So every time I was listening to it, and I'm like, I love the point, but I couldn't remember them myself. So that's kind of why I wanted to make up my own, because I was like, that will help me only if I have the ones that work for me. So even when people are watching today, I might have ones that you're like, oh, this is interesting, but it might not actually work for you. So to kind of find your own really can help in your own process.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually in the process right now of coming up with some courses, and the first one's a mini course that's going to have like a template of the website for a professional organizer and like what needs to be on your website and that kind of stuff. And I actually have been, it's kind of what you just said, where I've been trying to figure out like what is my process, but how can I take that and then help other people to have that template and to have, telling people what to put, but not telling them exactly what to put, because they've got to figure out for themselves what their ideal client is or what they want to put on their website, but still being able to help them, give them a template or a frame or inspiration. And so, yeah, I love that. So real quick, tell me the 3 steps. And I love that you went ahead and used the acronym for EB, for the ebb and flow, like that it worked out that way. So tell me about
Yeah,
that.
so I got really lucky. And so EB is the acronym. So E is establish your goals. So whenever you go into a house, you always want to kind of establish what's going on. B is begin the process. So you have a long process of going through what needs to be done, how to do it, actually doing it. And then B is balance your space. So after you've done it, it's great. But if you don't keep up with what you had set yourself up for, it won't stay that way. So that is something that I think is so important for people to understand, is even as organizers, for us to come in, we can organize. We love doing that. But if you're not going to take the time after to really keep up with that space, even if it's not a lot, but to make sure that whatever system you have in place is still running how you'd like it, then it won't stay that way and it'll go back to what you had it before.
Yep. Yeah. And that's also why it's so important, in my opinion, and why I also got certified as a life coach, because for me, I realized very early on how exactly what you said. I can come in and physically do this all day long, but if I don't help you with your mindset, if I don't help you like at least somewhat figure out why is it the way it is now, and how can we help you kind of shift that so you can maintain. And so you are able to continue to keep that balance in your life. It's not going to matter what I do today. Like, I mean, it'll help you for now. And, I have those clients that really could care less, just being flat out honest. They could care less about the emotional side. And they're like, listen, I just need you to do it for me, and I'll pay you for the maintenance sessions in 3 or 4 months. I'll have you come back and just do it again.
Sure.
Which is fine. Yeah. Absolutely fine. But then I also have those clients that are like, well, I really can't afford to keep having you come back. I want to learn to do this for myself, or I want to understand why my house has gotten this way. Like, because there've been houses I've gone into that when I ask them, well, how long has it been this way? It's been years and years and years of it being that way. And so when it takes that many, when you've been living a certain way for a very long time, it takes time to figure out mentally, emotionally, but also physically, like how to kind of redo things, and like do them in a way that benefit you. Like the way that we organize may not fit everyone. It's definitely not going to fit everyone.
Not at all.
Yeah, each person. And I think as professional organizers, we have to remember that. And I have a client I've been trying to get to come on the podcast and record with me, because I want to remind everyone of the client side of this. Like, I think we get so in our heads sometimes of like, oh my gosh, it needs to be perfect, or it needs to be this way, or, even me, I know I leave sessions sometimes and I feel like I didn't get enough done for what I would have wanted to accomplish. But then I talk to the client and they're happy and they're like elated with how much we got done that day. And I'm like, okay, as long as the client is happy, like I have to put my own ego to the side and forget about myself. I have to remember they have to maintain this. They have to remember this. Yeah. And so, okay. So step 1 was establish
your goals.
Establish your goals. So whenever you're going in, obviously the consultation is always the first step anyways, but establishing your goals is so important, because not just during the consultation of like, okay, well, what space do we start with? But then also establishing your goals of, okay, well, now we're inside of that space. What do we want to do in this space? And then on top of that, also asking the clients and figuring out for the clients what is important to them. Do they want to actually, like, are they more interested in learning how to do this for themselves? Are they just wanting it, done for them and they could care, like, what type of client they are? So there's so many different pieces to establishing the goals for the client. And then what for you made you put that as your first piece? Like when you go in, how is it that you establish your goals?
So the biggest thing was that even on my client intake form, I have it where what are your biggest obstacles to getting this space organized? And then what are your goals for the space? So for me, I'm like, I usually take those and have in mind what needs to be done. And then once I see their space, because sometimes their space, it might be so big that we can only do a short, like a small amount of it. So then to talk through with them and see, well, okay, now I know what your goals are. Now for this space, how can I help you in this space? So I feel like that's the main thing with establishing your goals is how can I help them with their area and the most valuable part of it? Because sometimes, and a lot of clients that I have too, it's they can't spend tons and tons of money on sessions because it adds up. So I want to be able to help them with the thing that's kind of bothering them the most. Usually the clients that come to me, they're bothered by their space now. They're ready for a change.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to help them with the number one thing that's bothering them and then work my way down.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So two things just came to mind. One is I used to always ask my clients when I first got started during the consultation, I would ask them, if you had a magic wand and you could wave it today, what space would you fix if you could only fix one space? Because that would tell me what is their biggest obstacle, like what is their pain point? Because exactly that, when they have a pain point if they're calling. And then just today, even during your session, sometimes you have to reestablish your goals. Like I was doing a session today and, we got through what the goal was, which was building this bookshelf, and we got it all organized and everything in her office fixed. And I looked at the clock and we had about 45 minutes left. And so then I, was able to ask her, okay, we have about 45 minutes left. What else can I help you with that you struggle with? Do you want to keep staying in this area? Some clients have a really hard time just making decisions about small things. Like for her, it was this big stack of like papers. She's like, just sit here and go through this with me real quick. It's been set, that pile's been there forever. And I'm like, okay, done, and as long as they are happy and as long as we keep asking them these questions, that's going to guarantee that they are happy, which means they become our biggest fans. They tell everyone, they become our biggest marketers, the whole nine, because we made sure to keep asking them what they wanted. We didn't assume that we knew what was best for them.
Oh, definitely. And that is huge. That's something that I've really noticed is you have to, like, I kind of at times have stepped away, like not stepped away in the sense that we're doing something and they have a way and it's not my way, and just to listen to them because ultimately they're in that space. So, but it's been fascinating because I haven't been an organizer for very long. It's been since January, and just noticing that in myself, being like, oh, okay, I need to take a step back. I'm listening to you. I think is something I really learned, which has been fascinating. So
yeah, it's so good. And I literally, like, I have gotten to the point where before I go into a session in the car, I have to take like 5 minutes and I just kind of breathe and I'm like, all right, because I want to emotionally leave myself and my stuff at the door. And then when I'm on my way home, I also do kind of the same thing because I don't want to because if it was a really emotionally draining session, I don't want to bring that home and later today be yelling at my husband and him be like, what in the world?
So true. So true.
Yeah. So awesome. Establishing goals. Okay. And then remind me again what step 2 was.
Okay. So step 2 is begin the process. So begin the process basically is we have the goal, we're ready to start. So we're starting it, we're going through, like, let's say we're doing a kitchen, we're making sure to take everything out of that space, sorting it how we need to in its appropriate areas, and then seeing what actually needs to go back. What can go back? And I love what you always say, what can we keep? What can we release?
Mm.
So I love that releasing of items and then go through that process. So really beginning the process is just kind of starting it, going through those steps, and really getting into it, which is super exciting. It's like the fun part. That's
Yeah.
like the really fun.
Well, and even as if someone's a new organizer and they're listening, or maybe they haven't even worked with clients, the process is so important. Of if you the first time you do sessions, right? Like you almost get overwhelmed at certain steps because you just don't know what you don't know yet. And I remember learning that just begin, just start somewhere. And the second you start doing something, and it's always pulling out and decluttering is always the first step, and
Yes.
so the second you just pick a spot to start with, then your brain starts working, and the things that come naturally to you are going to show up anyways. Like you're going to end up knowing what to do once you start. But the longer we stand back and just look at the whole thing and stay overwhelmed, like we can, it's a scary moment when you have those moments. But if in those moments you can remember, just start, like just begin somewhere, just grab something and start, you will figure it out.
It is fascinating though. I remember people telling me that it's just starting and going with it. And it's so weird in that moment to actually start and then it's like, wow, like I just did that. Because it's a skill that I have and I'm very grateful for it. But I didn't know how like magical it is almost. Like being in
Yes.
that spot and actually being like, yes, I was able to do that. And it was easy. But at the time, you're like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. What do I do? Will I be able to accomplish this for this client?
Yep. And then
So
when you get done, you're like, oh, wait, time's already like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And honestly, like a lot of times I have found that, things will, like the timing of things always work out the way they're supposed to. If we need a second session because it's a bigger space, then fine, we'll figure out a second session. And we'll do another session. And, if we need to buy bins or we need to do whatever, but just beginning, and we would not be called to this if we didn't naturally have the gift. Like we just wouldn't.
true. Yep,
And
very
so
true.
once we start, exactly what you said, it's almost magic of like that gift rises up in us and we are able to then do what we need to do once we begin. And it's kind of the same in running your business, like exactly what you said earlier of you're able to do it. Now it's hard at times. There's times you want to give up. There's times that it's stressful. There's times you don't have clients. There's all these things that come along with it, but it's the action. Taking action and taking steps is always, always, always your best bet of just beginning. Just start somewhere, start doing something, and it will work itself out. I love that. Okay. And then on our third step again, so we have established our goals. We have began, like just jump in, get it started. And then the second B is, and the third
Is
step.
balance your space. So again, it's having us come in and balancing the space for them or for them to balance the space. So especially with kiddos, I have two in my house and my girls are very, very good at balancing their space. So once I teach them and go through with them what's supposed to happen, where items are supposed to go, how to help clean up, they're able to do it. So a lot of it is just teaching and kind of coaching through with our clients to help them, and especially if they have kids, to help their kids go through it as well. Because ultimately, you want their space to be effective for them, but you often have to kind of coach them for that to happen, or it won't happen.
Absolutely. Well, and with the whole balance thing, like especially with kids, it's whether they're adults or kids, if things don't have a place to go, which is that whole, if we're organizers, we all know that that quote of a place for everything and everything in its place. Like if you have too much stuff in any space, whether you're a kid, whether you're an adult, like it doesn't matter who you are, Your
Yes.
brain, of course, you don't know where to put it back. You don't know how to help. And as parents, or even, our clients, if they are parents and they go to tell their kids, clean your room. Okay, well, if you've never gone through and shown them this is where these things go, or there's not even a place for the thing to go to begin with, how do they, are they supposed to put stuff? It's going to end up in the closet, under the bed, like crammed in corners, because they don't know where to put it. And so, that's honestly like what we have to then do for our clients, whether it's because they're overwhelmed in life, whether it's because they just don't have time, whatever their thing is. A lot of them, I think it's kind of the same thing of they just don't know where it's supposed to go. But a lot of times it's because there's too much stuff for the space. And so finding that balance of enough stuff, but also finding the balance of, okay, where does this item go? So if it gets moved, we can put it back and know where it's supposed to go. So that balance has two very important pieces, in my opinion.
Definitely. And I find it very helpful that once you have that space, it takes that like stress out of it. So once you know where something goes, so you don't have to worry about, oh gosh, I have all this stuff to put away or all these things to do. It's just, it has a place, you do that, and then you can move on. And just that time saver is so important that I don't always think people understand is how much time you're saving when you have a spot for something.
Yeah. So that actually brings up two good points. One thing is there's a proven fact that the average American, which I don't know if it's Canadians too, but the average American spends 55 minutes per day looking for something, like for whatever the thing is. And so we're getting them that hour per day back. And then there's also the thing of for every like so many minutes organizing, you save so many hours. Like they've done some kind of like study. I was looking at it the other day online, but the point being is that yes, it may take a little bit more time at first to figure it out, but the time, energy, money, you're saving them so much of everything as time goes on, because now instead of having to look for your keys are always hanging where they're supposed to be, or whatever that thing is. And that's what I love about organizing, because I was not a naturally organized person ever. I was more of a kind of cram it in the closet kind of person when my kids were little, and like shut the door and just out of sight, out of mind kind of brain. And so I was also always the person that everyone thought it was funny to be like, oh, you're going to be late to your own funeral and blah, blah, blah. I was that person. Like, so for me to become an organizer, like I love telling people, because I don't want them to think, oh, well, if I wasn't born with this skill, then I can't be a professional organizer, because that is so not true. It can be one or the other. Like you can either be born with this, or it's absolutely a skill that you can teach yourself, because I have completely taught myself how to do this. And now I've taught myself so well, and I'm living it to the point that I am teaching others, like, so you can absolutely teach yourself how to not only help yourself, but also help your clients. And which kind of leads me to a question of the acronym that you came up with. How was it, or like, why was it important for you to help yourself? Because we've talked about how it helps your clients, right? But how did having an acronym help you? Like, what is it going to do for you, or for the listener? What is it going to do for them if they can find their acronym?
So what it did for me was it just broke everything down. So in our busy lives, everything is overwhelming, and it's always nice to have something that's just simple. So it's like Ebb, I know that's in part of my name for my business. And then it was just really easy, like establish, begin, and balance. Like those words really spoke to me, and those I could really remember and actually use. So I think for me, it was just giving me a breakdown of what I'm going to be doing, because it's only a chunk of my life. Like you said, I'm a parent, I'm a mother, I am a teacher, I am this, that, the other thing. Like I don't have time to have it so it's all pretty and I'm just, oh yeah, I can think of this, or I can do this, or I can do that. It's, I need to make sure when I'm going to a client's house, okay, we are establishing what you need. We are beginning the process. And then if you need some help balancing, I will coach you through it, or we can have another time to maintain. So it just really quick and easy. And I think for others, that's what's so helpful, is the fact that if they can find their own acronym, it can just be something easy for them to remember. And then if someone likes it, like if someone loves the like ebb, by all means use it. Like that I think is really helpful, because those words to me I find very helpful, because establishing, everyone knows you have to establish, everyone knows you have to begin, and everyone knows you have to balance. So it kind of, that's what really helped me.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And, honestly, it's that way with anything that we're doing. Like with with the course that I'm building, it's on your homepage. It is so important. You have I think it's 8 seconds from the time someone clicks on your website to like grab their attention, or you lose them. And a lot of times when you look at your website, a lot of times you see most people only make it on the homepage and then they're gone. And so making sure that, you kind of the same thing of making it simple for people, and like kind of grabbing their attention from the get-go of, like 3 steps. It's my 3-step process. When they feel like you know what you're doing and that you have a process, they are so like, clients are going to be like, oh, okay, I can get with that. Like for you, I would say, go put that on your website, like front and center, top, for you, Amanda, like put that out there, like, ebb and flow, and then ebb, have it and be like our 3-step process to getting you organized, and that way they know that you have a system that they can count on as clients.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And simple, to the point, just like what people do nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, an organization is simplicity. Like that's what it is. It's about coming up with systems that can make our life simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am all for that in our business too. Like what's that acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
Yes.
It's classic. Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It is, for whether it's business, motherhood, home, doesn't matter what it is. Like just keep it simple. That's all we have to do. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Like it has been so good. And I was so impressed with you whenever you came up with this, and like just watching you grow, and like your Instagram, and tell people where they can find you if they want to go follow you on socials.
So, my website, which I will be changing it, adding that in, is www.ebbandfloworganizing.ca. And then I'm on Instagram, which if you just type in Ebb and Flow Organizing, you'll find me. Same with on Facebook, which is Ebb and Flow Organizing. I have a little cute little logo where it's just an E and an F and a little circle around it. So super simple, to the point, and I would love for everyone to check it out and see if any of it kind of inspired you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will definitely make sure that in the show notes and, in the notes on the YouTube channel and everything, the links. So we will keep it simple for the listeners to go and follow you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Hey, and we love having you in the membership. And if any of you are thinking about joining, come over to ProOrganizers.Coach.com, see what we have for you. And again, we have courses coming very soon. That is what my summer is going to be about, is creating courses to help you start your organizing business. So I will see you in the next one.